In the late Qi Dynasty, local separatism and frequent natural disasters caused people to struggle. The imperial court, feudal lords, aristocratic families, sects, barbarians, demons, and witchcraft. With thousands of forces surging in the dark, the chaotic world of rivers and lakes is filled with martial arts struggles. Heng crossed over here and became a poor commoner at the bottom, with uncertain times. Fortunately, he awakened a cultivation game that can automatically hang up and obtain various supplies and rewards. Level +1, Reward Pill, Rebirth and Bone Transformation Pill, kill the leader monster and reward the magic weapon, Zhu Xian Sword, open a new map and reward the cultivation technique, Tai Shan Kai Tian Hun Yuan Jin Zhang. From then on, there was an additional cultivator in this chaotic world of the martial arts world. Keywords of the novel. Hanging up to cultivate immortality in the chaotic world without pop-ups, downloading the complete TXT collection of Hanging Up to Cultivate Immortality in the Chaotic World, and reading the latest chapters of Hanging Up to Cultivate Immortality in the Chaotic World. Chapter 1. Moderate gaming benefits the brain, while addiction to gaming harms the body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Moderate gaming benefits the brain, while addiction to gaming harms the body. In the third year of the Qianning reign of the Great Qi Dynasty, there was a severe drought throughout the country. The 12 quiet and green provinces in the north have not rained for half a year, the rivers have dried up, there is famine everywhere, and people eat each other. The people are struggling, and the rebel army is rising in all directions. The scorching sun is in the sky, and there are no clouds for thousands of miles. To the east of Heng County, on the banks of the Huai River, hundreds of topless men are digging the river, most of whom are hunched and have clear rib contours, yet still have to work hard in this scorching weather. Heng walked unsteadily with a cart of soil and stones. At the age of 15, he looked very thin and fragile, like weeds in the wind, as if he could fall to the ground at any moment. Obviously exhausted and almost exhausted, and suffering from long-term malnutrition. The heavy labor of digging rivers and pushing soil and stones was very difficult for him, but he could only grit his teeth and persist. After all, this corvée was forcibly imposed by the government, and ordinary people had no room for resistance. When will these days finally come to an end? I don't know how my mother and sister are doing. Heng sighed in his heart, and was accidentally hit by a stone, falling to the ground, and the cart was also spilled. He was already weak, and now he works hard day after day, his food supply is being cut off, and he can't eat enough every day. Suddenly, he falls down and feels like he's spinning around, almost fainting. But at this moment pop! Only a sound of breaking through the air was heard, and a whip fiercely struck Heng's back. Ah! Heng immediately looked up and screamed in agony. His body suddenly became tense, and a scorching pain spread from his back, causing him to tremble uncontrollably. Little thing, you want to be lazy. A government official wearing a uniform held a whip in his hand and looked down at Heng with disdain. He snorted coldly, why don't you just push the soil? Let's go dig the river with others. Digging a river is much harder and more tiring than pushing soil. With Heng's physique, he will definitely be exhausted to death. Heng endured the excruciating pain, trying to defend himself. I opened my mouth but found that I couldn't make a sound. I was extremely weak, and my vision became increasingly blurred. I felt a sharp pain in my heart, and then fell into endless darkness, completely unconscious. Poor Lord, cannot be used, cannot be used. At this moment, a sturdy middle-aged man ran over and helped Heng, who was about to fall to the ground. At the same time, he smiled and nodded, bowing and humbly bowing to the official. Sir, my little brother has been weak since childhood. You asked him to dig the river, didn't you take his life? Your adult has a large amount, he. As he spoke, he quietly slipped 2 steamed cakes into the hands of the official and whispered, Sir, these are all small things that I have finally saved up. I'll give you a tooth offering. Oh. The official squinted his eyes and gently pinched the 2 steamed cakes before accepting them. He nodded slightly, all right, keep an eye on this little thing and don't let him make any more mistakes. After speaking, he left with those 2 steamed cakes in his hand, walking quickly as if he couldn't wait. Steamed pancakes are a staple food for the hard laborers who dig rivers, and they are also a rare and good thing for the lower-class officials. In normal times, this official's job may not even be able to eat 2 steamed pancakes for more than 10 days. The middle-aged man finally breathed a sigh of relief and was about to comfort Lu Heng a few words when he found that the boy he was supporting was already stiff, with his eyes closed and no breath left. He was immediately shocked. Brother Lu, are you okay?" The middle-aged man gently shook Lu Heng, feeling a hint of foreboding and also feeling desolate. When serving corvée, it is too common to tire out people, let alone not have enough to eat every day. This kind of thing has happened every 3 or 4 days since the construction of the canal began. But why is it always the people around me? A few days ago, I was the big brother who took care of me for a long time. Is this the little brother who has a good relationship with me? At this moment, Lu Heng, who seemed to have just passed away, suddenly moved, his breathing returned to normal, and his eyes slowly opened, but his gaze flickered slightly, seeming very flustered. He swallowed his saliva as if calming his mind, then took a deep breath, gritted his teeth, and reluctantly spoke, "Brother Lu, I'm fine." You didn't you? Brother Lu, you just..." Lu Si widened his eyes upon seeing this, then laughed again and lightly patted Lu Heng's shoulder. "Oh, Brother Lu, you scared me to death, As he spoke, he quietly took out a steamed cake from his arms and stuffed it directly into Lu Heng's sleeve. He lowered his voice and said, "Tonify your body and eat it when nobody is around. Don't let anyone see it." Without waiting for a response from Lu Heng, Lu Si hurriedly rushed to the riverside and started working hard. Lu Heng looked at Lu Si's back in silence, then at the busy laborers around him, as well as the supervisor's pergola on the distant platform. Finally, he lowered his head and looked at his hands covered in calluses and wounds, feeling extremely incredulous in his heart. How did I travel? Night. The laborers who had worked all day slept on the spot by the river channel, with only a simple thatched shed as a cover. However, in order to prevent the laborers from colluding and causing trouble, the thatched sheds are far apart and it is not allowed for laborers to communicate with each other. Lu Heng secretly finished the steamed cake given by Lu Si and lay in a grass hut. He was already snoring beside him, but he couldn't sleep at all. Looking at the roof of the hut, his eyes were empty and he was stunned. Why did you just cross over? Half a day ago, he was still living a godly life on earth, eating, sleeping, and playing games every day. He planned to run out next week to find his romantic sister whom he met in against the cold water. He even booked his plane ticket and hotel, and specially prepared a small umbrella. How else are we going? Fortunately, I am an orphan, otherwise my parents would be so sad. Lu Heng closed his eyes and pressed his temples, starting to reflect on his current situation. My name is still Lu Heng, TSK, I am also an orphan, but I have foster parents. My adoptive father was forcibly conscripted by the military governor of Zhaoyang half a year ago to become a commoner and fight against the rebellious governor of Kongzhou. His life and death are still uncertain. Now, apart from me, there are only my adoptive mother and younger sister at home, living in poverty. Recently, food prices have skyrocketed, and if it weren't for the support of an uncle, we would probably not have been able to make a living. Now I have been conscripted into corvée labor again, and I have to bring my own dry food to repair rivers and canals, which is even worse for my family. The government nominally says that they will manage corvée labor every day, but in reality, they only distribute a steamed cake 3 or 4 days ago, which is not enough to eat. My predecessor died suddenly from exhaustion and hunger. Why did hell start? Why don't you give me a golden finger, drop it, ding it. If you're still loading, at least remind me first. Special, isn't it really not? I'm giving so many system texts to the starting point to reward the alliance leader for nothing. Of course, Roast belongs to Roast, and he is still thinking about his next way out. Continuing to work hard here is definitely not enough. This small body is probably going to be exhausted again in a few days. You can't escape even if you run away. On the only way out of the canal, there are over 100 county government swordsmen guarding, and anyone who dares to escape will be killed on the spot. However, even if they do escape, it seems useless. Ordinary people cannot leave their hometowns without official road signs, let alone conscripted corvée. If caught by the officers and soldiers, they will be directly imprisoned, punished with a cane, and even if they don't die, they will have to peel off their skin. In these years, besides the scholars and aristocrats who have achieved great success, those who can freely leave their hometowns and travel around the world are the disciples of the martial arts sect recognized by the court, as well as the monks and Taoist priests who hold the imperial edict. With my current situation, why can't I obtain these identity documents? The more Lu Heng thought about it, the more helpless he became, feeling that everywhere was a dead end. If there were no golden fingers, it would be impossible for oneself to get rid of the current predicament, and one could only continue to work hard until they were exhausted and starved to death. That's outrageous. At this moment, he suddenly felt a blur in front of him, a semi-transparent light curtain appeared, with 2 text prompts on it. Congratulations! The game of Cultivating Immortals has been launched. Moderate gaming benefits the brain, while addiction to gaming harms the body. Turn on automatic hang up and enjoy a better life, sleeping slot. Lu Heng sat up in one fell swoop, almost exclaiming in surprise and feeling ecstatic inside. Gold fingers, there are really gold fingers. He was full of excitement and suppressed himself silently. He quickly lay down again to avoid being discovered, and then began to study the function of this golden finger. At this point, those 2 text prompts have disappeared, and a blurry image composed of pixels is displayed in the light screen. In the center, there is a large river running through the top and bottom, and the edges on both sides are continuous patterns of high mountains. The area between the river and the high mountains is composed of patterns such as forests, grasslands, lakes, and cities. Lu Heng noticed that there was only one character in this picture, which was a pixelated figure standing by the big river, with levels displayed above his head. Level 0, 0 out of 100, there is a small sword circling around the little man. What does this game mean? He frowned slightly, realizing that he couldn't do anything with this little person, as if he could only watch the game hang up like this, feeling very puzzled. Wow! At this moment, the big river in the game suddenly stirred up a splash of water, and surprisingly, a monster with a human body and a fish head rushed out and charged towards the little person. Then, he collided with the small sword that was circling around the little man, and was cut in half on the spot, turning into a white light and disappearing. Immediately after, a prompt appeared on the light screen. Kill the fish head demon. Experience +1, fish meat +1, include new monsters +1, reward spell, rain summoning mantra, rain summoning mantra. A low-level spell that can be cast during the Qi refining period. It can summon a black cloud that covers a radius of 1 zhang and drizzle. The more magic it can cast, the wider the coverage of the black cloud, and the greater the rainfall. New map +1 included, reward spell, breathing wind curse, breathing wind mantra. A low-level spell that can be cast during the Qi refining period. It can summon a storm that covers an area of 1 zhang. The more mana it applies, the wider the storm's coverage and the stronger the wind. Spell. Gas refining period. Summoning rain and blowing wind. Lu Heng suddenly widened his eyes and his breathing suddenly became heavy. He found that he only needed to use his thoughts to bring the fish and magic spells he had just obtained into reality. This means that as long as you obtain the cultivation technique in the game, you can cultivate yourself. Newcomers and new books, seeking support. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Guishui Amulet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Guishui Amulet. If I remember correctly, it seems that only martial arts exist in this world. Although it is said that practicing martial arts at its peak has extraordinary and sacred abilities, and is known as a land god, there are no people who directly cultivate immortality. Lu Heng's heart was hot and extremely excited, and he thought to himself, others can only practice martial arts, but I can cultivate immortality. Isn't this? However, he quickly shook his head again, hammered his head, and made himself calm. No, I can't think of it that way. Since martial arts can be trained into a called land immortal, there must be its strength. It may not be weaker than cultivation, and one cannot be arrogant. This is seeking death. Even though constantly reminding and warning himself in his heart, Lu Heng couldn't help but feel excited. Even if I don't consider other aspects, just being able to survive well is enough. His gaze became firm as he stared at the scene in the light curtain, muttering to himself, I don't know how to start cultivating immortality. Do I have to wait for the next reward? As long as I can start cultivating immortality, I have a chance to change my destiny. At this moment, in the light screen scene, another fish-headed monster rushed out of the river and collided with the small sword next to the little man without bias. It was cut into 2 pieces and then turned into white light and disappeared. Kill the fish head demon. Experience +1, fish head +1, the reward prompt appears again. However, this time there are no new monsters and new maps, so there are no rewards associated with these 2. In addition to experience, the previous fish meat reward has also become a fish head. Lu Hengxin felt something and his thoughts moved slightly. The screen on the light screen changed accordingly, and a game backpack interface appeared. However, there were only 9 squares, and now 4 have been occupied. Fish meat, fish head, summoning rain curse, exhaling wind curse. This accounts for almost half of it. Won't it be full soon? Lu Heng couldn't help but worry. If the backpack is full, doesn't it mean you can't get rewards anymore? But in this situation, I am unable to take out the fish meat and fish head to eat. What should I do? Wow! Just as it was causing trouble, suddenly another fish-headed monster rushed out and repeated the previous situation. Kill the fish head demon. Experience +1. Fish meat +1, Lu Heng quickly opened his backpack to check and breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that duplicate items would not occupy more space, but would only be labeled with numbers in the bottom right corner of the item. Now there is a small 2 added to the bottom right corner of the fish. This crucial problem was solved, and Lu Heng began to try to control the villain in the light curtain, intending to change the location of the monster fight. However, he found that no matter what he did, the villain only stood by the big river and remained motionless. The small sword cannot be controlled either. Is this an automatic hang-up? It's really fully automatic. Lu Heng blinked his eyes and looked at the screen in the game and the constantly popping reward prompts. He thought to himself, it's good to automatically hang up and fight monsters, and judging from the speed, you should be able to level 1 quickly. There should be rewards then. Thinking this in his heart, he gradually relaxed and his eyelids began to fight. After a tiring day, he quickly fell asleep. In the game, the little man still stood there, his sword spinning and automatically killing every monster that rushed towards him. The next morning, it was just dawn. Lu Heng was awakened from his sleep by someone shaking him up. The touch of the white, rich, and beautiful sword net romance in his dream had not yet dissipated. When he opened his eyes, he saw Lu Ci's big face and said, Lu, brother Lu. Well, brother Lu, it's time to get up and start working. I'm annoyed that the supervisor will be whipped. Lu Ci lowered his voice and reminded, I heard that the chief of Heku is coming today, and he's probably going to be more strict than usual. I know now, thank you very much, brother Lu. Lu Heng quickly nodded and got up, took a few bites of dry food, and then went to work. Although he now has the game, Cultivation of Immortals, he still needs to work when he needs to. At least before truly starting to cultivate immortality and obtaining the identity of free walking. Today we still need to be extremely careful not to offend that canal chief. He Chu Cheng was the deputy official of the Water Supervision Department of the Imperial Court, in charge of matters such as rivers, ponds, and embankments. His rank was below the 9th grade, and he was already a remarkable figure in this small county of Heng. After all, Heng County has a sparse population and mostly poor households, making it just a lower-level county. As the second in command of the county magistrate is also a 9th-rank lower-level official. Moreover, this He Chu Cheng came down from the capital of the divine capital, and there were people in the court who also held the position of military commander in the Zhaoyang army, leading 50 armored soldiers. Even the county magistrate dared not offend him. Such a big shot can kill countless laborers digging rivers with just one sentence. Lu Heng came to the canal, righted the cart, and waved a shovel to fill it with earth and stone. The feeling of hunger and fatigue soon came, making him more and more eager for the game Xiuxian to bring changes to himself. Just now he has checked the game interface, and after the night of hanging up to fight monsters, the experience of the little man has reached 35 out of 100, and the fish meat and fish head have also increased, becoming 19 and 16 respectively. Apart from these, there's nothing else, and the fish-headed monster that hung up all night hasn't dropped anything new. I don't know when I can master the cultivation technique. Lu Heng opened the game interface again, wanting to see if he had found any new things during this time. He was stunned when he opened it. The little people inside have changed places. Last night, he also thought about having the villain go to a different place to brush monsters, so that he wouldn't be able to produce anything new just by brushing the fish head monsters. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't make the villain move a bit. Now it's moving. Although the little man is still on the riverbank, his position is much closer to the river. I understand. Lu Heng suddenly became clear and thought to himself, it turns out that the maps in the game correspond to reality. As long as I move around in reality, the characters in the game will follow suit. Wow! At this moment, the game screen suddenly changed. Immediately, a monster with a human body in a shrimp head rushed out of the river, charging fiercely towards the little man. On the spot, he was killed by that small sword. Kill the shrimp head demon. Experience +1, shrimp +3, new monsters +1 included, reward talisman, Guishui talisman, Guishui talisman. A first-order lower-level talisman that will counter-shake the Guishui Qi blade with the same power when attacked. It can defend up to 3 layers of Qi refining attacks and can defend up to 3 times. New monsters, new rewards. Lu Heng looked at the light screen's prompt and was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect such an unexpected gain. And compared to the 2 previously rewarded spells, this talisman is more useful to him. Because there is no realm requirement to activate this talisman. Just carry it with you. This means that he finally has a means of self-defense. Unfortunately, there are only 3 opportunities and we cannot use them rashly. You need to be frugal. I just don't know what level of martial artist the 3rd level of the Qi refining period is equivalent to. Lu Heng struggled to calm his emotions, so as not to reveal his excitement and attract attention. Through his predecessor's memory, he already knew that the martial arts of this world were known as the 12 passes of ascending heaven. Legend has it that as long as you pass these 12 levels, you are like a land god. Time quickly arrived at noon. At noon, the sun is scorching and scorching. The hard labor on both sides of the river cannot stop. Lu Heng was already sweating profusely, panting heavily, and his eyes began to turn black. He couldn't help but think to himself, if the Guishui amulet can be used 300 times, can I just rush out? But in the next moment, he shook his head and said to himself, am I expanding? I need to restrain myself. Besides, even if I really rush out of here, I have nowhere to go. The next goal is to start cultivating immortality as soon as possible and obtain identity credentials that can travel the world. At that time, we can get rid of the current predicament of being a laborer. Thinking this way, Lu Heng opened the game interface, checked the records, and immediately discovered a series of reward prompts. Kill the shrimp head demon. Experience +1, shrimp +2, kill the shrimp head demon. Experience +1, shrimp +1, kill the shrimp head demon. Experience +1, shrimp +4, after hanging up this morning, little man's experience has reached 56 out of 100. This made him very happy. I reckon I'll be able to level 1 by tonight. There are rewards for both new monsters and new maps, so character upgrades shouldn't be missing, right? Brother Lu, are you okay? Lu Xi's voice suddenly came, and he noticed that when Lu Heng pushed the cart, he seemed a bit absent. Minded and worried, asking, how about you take good care of yourself in the next few days and teach me how to read when your body is better. The reason why Lu Heng has a good relationship with Lu Xi is because he has read books and knows many words. Lu Xi is a studious person who believes that reading is the only way to change his destiny, but there was no way to learn before. After meeting Lu Heng here, he often took the initiative to take care of him and helped him in all aspects. Lu Heng also taught him how to read seriously, and the two became close brothers. Brother Lu, I'm fine, I'm just a bit homesick. Lu Heng shook his head lightly and made an excuse. He was about to say that he could continue teaching him how to read, but suddenly a crowd gathered nearby, and heavy footsteps could be heard. Then I saw rows of county officials rushing over, standing on both sides of the road, separating all the laborers working nearby, as if welcoming some big shot. In no time, a procession of honor guards slowly approached, followed by 50 swordsmen who were marching together. They were all burly and tall, wearing scales and armor, with long swords on their waists, and surrounded by a man on horseback in the middle. This man looks like he is in his early 20s, with a jade crown on his face, handsome and extraordinary. He is wearing a light blue official uniform without embroidered patterns and is riding on a white horse, looking down at the people around him. It is the He Chu Cheng who came from the capital of the divine capital. His indifferent gaze flickered over the group of laborers, as if gazing at a group of lowly ants, only briefly pausing on some young faces before listening to him loudly say, "Find 9 people who are under 16 years old and have not yet started a family, and send them to our mansion before dark." New book seeking support. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. By Shan Jun's Jurisdiction. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. By Shan Jun's jurisdiction. After the river canal chief gave the order, he turned his horse's head and left, but left behind 20 sword-wielding armored soldiers. They stood there expressionless, like a copper wall and an iron wall, giving people a great sense of oppression. Obviously, it is to supervise the completion of the orders of the Heku Cheng. This sudden command immediately caused a commotion among the laborers present, and many instinctively looked at the young people around them. Lu Heng quickly felt a lot of focus on himself. Stand up one by one, except for the one I pointed at, stay still. A middle-aged man wearing a public uniform walked over with a group of laborers pointing, you, and you, come out. Lu Heng recognized this person. His name is Sun Chang, a county magistrate in Heng County, and he was a low-level official from the 9th rank. But for ordinary people, this is also an unworthy big shot, official master. Damn it, why are there so few young people? Sun Chang scolded after pointing out a few people. Due to the frequent requisition of various corvées east by the imperial court in recent years, many eligible young men in many places have been captured. Starting from the front, various regions have been catching 15-year-old strong men. It has consumed a lot. There are not many people under the age of 16 in this river canal corvée. It took a while to gather 9. Lu Heng is also among them. At this point, he had already placed the Guishui amulet on his body. If you encounter danger, immediately look for an opportunity to escape. Brother Lu. Lu Si watched helplessly as Lu Heng walked out, clenching his fists and gritting his teeth. If one day I can gain power, I must make these dog officials die hard. He wanted to stop it, but there was nothing he could do. At first glance, that Heku Ching didn't seem like a good thing. Suddenly, he wanted to find so many young people to go over, which must be a bad thing. Bang bang. At this moment, the 20 soldiers left behind by the minister of Heku leaned over, their cold eyes falling on the 9 young men, carefully scrutinizing them, clearly to prevent them from escaping. Lu Heng's heart sank and he thought to himself, this is not a modern China with stable society. In the eyes of officials, I'm not even considered a person as a laborer. Once I'm found out that I want to run away, I'll probably be chopped to death on the spot. We must find a way out of our current situation as soon as possible. He glanced at the game interface again and found that he had just killed 3 shrimp-headed monsters, increasing his experience by 3 points. Level 0, 59 out of 100, it's fast, it's fast. I will be promoted to level 1 soon. You all, listen to me. Sun Chang shouted to 9 young men including Lu Heng with a whip, Master Kai Kong of Heku is a noble person from the capital, and being selected by him is a blessing you have cultivated for several lifetimes. Be obedient, and the benefits will come with you. Follow me. After speaking, he turned around and left. A group of teenagers looked at each other, not believing much in Sun Chang's words. You can see the 20 armored soldiers not far away, dressed in scales, with long swords on their waists and a sturdy physique. Everyone has to follow suit. Lu Heng is no exception. The group set off like this, walking along the narrow official road towards the direction of Heng County. Along the way, he observed the environment around the road and soon realized that there were no obstacles on either side of the road, making it unsuitable for escape. Why isn't there a deep mountain forest? Lu Heng frowned slightly and said to himself, in this terrain, even with the Guishui amulet, I may not be able to escape the pursuit of 20 warriors. And can the Guishui talisman, which can only defend against the 3rd layer of Qi refining, really ensure one's own safety? I'm afraid not. Now he doesn't have a clear concept of the power corresponding to the cultivation realm, nor can he just rely on the novel settings he has read in his past life to take risks for granted. Let's follow them first and act according to the situation. Lu Heng made a decision in his heart, but after leaving the canal for a distance, his face changed. What's going on? It's been a long time since the monster refreshed. Experience is still 59 points, which means that after leaving the Huai River bank, there is no increase in experience at all. Is it possible that only the Huai River bank will refresh monsters? It's impossible. This won't work, we need to find a way. The game, Cultivation of Immortals, is his biggest reliance, and obtaining rewards from it is the foundation for changing his current situation, and there must be no problems. We walked another section of the way, and there were still no monsters refreshing in the game, Xuxian. Lu Heng's eyes flickered slightly, and he noticed a forest ahead. He said to himself, once I reach that forest, I'll find an opportunity to escape. My experience points haven't increased, and if I keep dragging on, I don't know what will happen. After walking another distance, Sun Chang, who was leading the way ahead, suddenly stopped. It's getting late, Sun Chang turned around and shouted to the group of teenagers, it's too late to report to Mr. Kai's mansion at this time. Next, I will take you directly to complete the task assigned by Mr. Kai. This task is very important and Mr. Kai attaches great importance to it. Don't worry, as long as you complete this task, you can all be exempted from this corvée and go home at any time. A stone stirs up 1,000 waves. Except for Lu Heng, all the young men became excited upon hearing this, their eyes shining with an unprecedented light, and they shouted loudly, "May I serve Mr. Kai, may I serve Mr. Kai." Although they all felt that the promises made by the officials were not very true, they still chose to believe them. Get rid of this corvée and go home. For young people who spend their days on the construction site of the river canal, this is a dream and an irresistible temptation. However, Lu Heng had a strong sense of foreboding. Sun Chang did not receive any news halfway through, and now suddenly changed lanes, most likely because he had received instructions from Kai Kong before that. What is the undisclosed secret purpose of that canal chief? The situation is probably not very good. We need to find a way to escape into the mountains and forests. Lu Heng looked into the distance, looking for a way. At this moment, Sun Chang in front suddenly pointed to the forest and said solemnly, "The task you need to complete is within that forest. Come with me." What? Upon hearing this, Lu Heng was first shocked, then overjoyed and quickly followed along with the other teenagers. Under the leadership of Sun Chang, a group of young people quickly arrived outside a mountain forest. After approaching, Lu Heng found that the scale of this mountain forest was not large, just about 3 to 5 miles away, and it was not very high. It looked only about 200 meters. At the same time, the characters in the game, Cultivation of Immortals, also arrived outside a small mountain forest. However, the mountains and forests in the game interface are not very normal, with purple-black clouds permeating the sky, and it seems that there are still gusts of dark wind weaving through the mountains. The speed of the small sword next to the character has increased slightly. How does this situation look like? Lu Heng, with extensive gaming experience, muttered to himself, is it possible that he entered the boss area? This is the jurisdiction of the Lord of Baisha Mountain. Human beings are not allowed to enter, otherwise you will bear the consequences in the game interface. A blood-red text prompt suddenly appeared in the mountains and forests, and a large appeared on the top of the little person's head, sleeping in a slot. Lu Heng was shocked in his heart. Did he encounter a boss? New book seeking support. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Black Tiger Soul Reaching Blade. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Black Tiger Soul Reaching Blade. Hoo. In the game interface, there was a sound of wind, and Lu Heng saw a black figure rushing out of the forest like a black lightning bolt, directly colliding with a small person standing outside the forest. Encounter monster ambush. The blood-colored text prompts reappeared. Despite giving a verbal warning, suddenly a surprise attack was launched. What? It's actually an old six. Lu Heng's eyes suddenly widened. At this moment, he realized that there was a blood strip on the head of the dark figure, which was not present in the previous fish head demon and shrimp head demon. Is it really a boss? Can a little person fight before? Zheng. At this moment, the sound of metal and iron clashing echoed in the game interface. The huge black figure was 10 times the size of the little man, and fiercely collided with the small sword beside him, with an astonishing momentum, as if it was about to crush both the sword and the little man to pieces. Then, the black figure was instantly cut open by the small sword, and a pitch-black mist exploded, causing the tiger, which had been cut in two, to fall to the ground. Then it turned into a white light and disappeared. Lu Heng fell silent slightly upon seeing this, but for a moment he didn't cry or laugh. I thought he was such a powerful boss, so he turned out to be a little rascal. Kill the elite monster, Black Tiger Demon Soldier. Experience +8, Tiger Bone +3, Tiger Claw +4, Tiger Whip +1, Backpack Grid, Special Reward, +3, New Monster, Black Tiger Demon Soldier, is included, and the first level lower level magical weapon, Black Tiger Soul Mastering Blade, is rewarded. Black Tiger Soul Mastering Blade. A first-order inferior magical tool suitable for cultivators from the first to third level of Qi refining. It has the effect of calming oneself and can be used as a weapon to strike, or can be infused with magic to stimulate special effects, attacking the enemy's divine soul and causing a certain amount of dizziness. The more magic infused, the longer the dizziness time caused. Good thing. Lu Heng's eyes lit up, and now he even had magic tools. Everything is ready, almost starting to cultivate immortality. Level 0, 67 out of 100, experience has increased again, and the distance to level 1 is getting closer and closer. The next step is to escape into the mountains and forests under the guise of completing tasks, and then find a way to obtain identity certificates later, at least until the cultivation is successful. Lu Heng's gaze, along with the other boys, turned to the forest, but his thoughts were completely different. Of course, in Sun Chang's view, this all meant that what he had just said was effective. He was very satisfied with it and nodded slightly, saying, "You guys are all very good. Actually, this task is very simple." As he spoke, he took out a picture of a strange flower with a slender stem and petals blooming like flames. To search for this flower in the mountains, at least find one. Even if you all complete the task, the person who finds the flower will receive an additional reward. A group of teenagers were both worried and excited upon hearing this. It's not easy to find a flower in a mountain. You may get nothing overnight, but as long as you can find it, your destiny can change. Lu Heng furrowed his brows slightly, feeling very puzzled in his heart, and muttered to himself, "So what does Kai Kong want to do? He's just looking for a bunch of people in the mountains to find a flower. Forget it, I don't want these things." After entering the mountain, I left the team and ran away. It's none of my business to find any flowers. But at this moment, he suddenly noticed a sword-wielding armored man approaching him, his gaze cold under his ferocious face armor, looking at him with a deadly attitude. The other 8 teenagers were the same, with a warrior standing beside them. Subsequently, Lu Heng heard a voice as loud as gold and iron coming from the mouth of the armored soldiers beside him. "Let's go, I'll come with you into the mountain." "Shit. As for what?" Lu Heng only felt 10,000 grass mud horses rushing past in his heart. "I'm just looking for a flower in the mountain, and surprisingly, I have the sword-wielding armored warrior staring at me. Are you so afraid of people running away?" The other teenagers were also greatly frightened by the soldiers around them, with 2 even sitting paralyzed on the ground. This situation made the soldiers shake their heads and sneer. The Jia Shi standing next to Lu Heng turned to Sun Chang and said, "Sun Xiaofu, we have tried. These lowly people are indeed as timid as mice and definitely dare not escape." Xiaofu is a respectful title for a county captain. After speaking, the armored soldier left Lu Heng's side, and the other 8 armored soldiers also walked away from the side of the young men. Obviously, they didn't actually intend to follow into the mountains and forests, they were just scaring people. It's like a cat playing with a mouse. And most likely it was the instruction of County Captain Sun Chang. "Ha, everyone, thank you for your hard work. When this happens, come to my house to drink, it's top-quality liquor." Sun Chang chatted and laughed with a group of soldiers before coming to Lu Heng and others and shouting loudly, "I know you have doubts, and I also know that some people want to escape, but before escaping, consider whether you have the ability to escape. And don't forget, you are not orphans. Your parents and relatives are all at home. If anyone dares to escape, they will refuse to serve the imperial corvée and form accomplices in rebellion. Everyone's family will be enslaved, with men being sent to exile and women being sold into traps." A group of young people were filled with fear upon hearing the words. Some gritted their teeth and looked angry, but they dared not say anything. Lu Heng's gaze remained calm, silently remembering Sun Chang's appearance in his heart. Of course, there is also the Heku Cheng named Kai Kong, who cannot be forgotten. As for these warriors, when we deal with Kai Kong in the future, we will naturally eliminate them all. However, before that, it is necessary to understand how strong the martial arts in this world are. Lu Heng is accustomed to thinking before acting and does not engage in unprepared battles. This is a habit he developed while on Earth. After all, an orphan should be cautious in everything they do, even if they live in a relatively stable social environment. "You should go into the mountain now. Sun Chang began giving orders, we will wait for you here. I hope you can find that flower before dark, go." A group of teenagers faced orders. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only enter the mountain. Lu Heng followed them, his gaze fixed on the situation at the entrance of the mountain, searching for a possible escape route. As for Sun Changxian's previous threats, once these people are all taken down, it won't be a problem. If what I expected is right, there should be monsters refreshing after entering the mountains and forests, Lu Heng thought to himself, and the interface of the game, Cultivation of Immortals, appeared before his eyes. At this moment, he and 8 other teenagers had already stepped into the forest, and the little characters in the game had also entered the forest shrouded in dark clouds. Who? At this moment, the wind suddenly sounded in the game interface, and Lu Heng's spirit immediately perked up. Immediately after, he saw a monster with a tiger head and a human body rushing out of the dense forest, waving its weapons and chopping at the little man. Lu Heng took a closer look and couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed. It's actually a little trash without a health bar. Sure enough, with a flick of the small sword, the monster was instantly killed. Fortunately, it's a new monster. Kill the Tiger Head Demon. Experience +1, Tiger Meat +1, collect new monsters +1, reward the first level lower level talisman, Gung Jin Sword Qi Fu, Gung Jin Sword Qi Fu. A first level lower level talisman that can release Gung Jin Sword Qi and attack designated targets. Its power is equivalent to 3 layers of Qi refining and can be used up to 5 times. Attack runes. Lu Hengxin was delighted to see that he finally had the means to take the initiative to attack. Previously, there was a Guishui amulet as a defense measure to ensure safety, but now there is another Gung Jin Sword Qi talisman that can actively attack, greatly improving one's combat effectiveness. The experience value has also reached 68. Everything is stable and improving. Without any surprises, I should be able to level 1 tonight and perhaps cultivate immortality by then. Even if you plan for the worst, upgrading without rewards, or not rewarding with cultivation techniques, as long as you keep brushing monsters, you will eventually achieve your wish. The next step is to find an opportunity to escape from the crowd. Let's spend a few days in this mountain forest and level up by brushing monsters. Lu Heng planned his future actions and looked at the several teenagers around him, preparing to find an opportunity to leave. But at this moment, he suddenly felt a flash in front of him, as if a black shadow had flashed by, with a speed that was extremely fast. Immediately, there was a muffled thud coming from ahead, as if something had broken. Immediately afterwards, Lu Heng felt a liquid with a strong bloody smell rushing towards him. He quickly lowered his body to dodge, but the distance was too close and he was still brushed against his cheek. Is this blood? Lu Heng touched his cheek, feeling a warm and bloody sensation. He looked ahead in confusion. I saw a slimming figure in black slowly lifting his palm from a headless corpse. Then, like throwing garbage, the body was left to the side. The body was clearly just dead, although without a head, it was still convulsing incessantly, and there was still blood gushing out like a fountain on the bloody neck. Around the body, there were also scattered broken skulls and brains, indicating that his head had been crushed and exploded. Sleeping slot. Sleeping slot. Lu Heng's face changed dramatically, he was stunned and looked at the scene incredulously. This corpse is clearly one of the 8 people who just entered the mountain with me. Why was someone suddenly killed? And what kind of power is this? Can someone even scratch and explode a person's head with their bare hands? Is this a warrior? The training materials that Kai Kong sent this time are really good. The figure in black licked his fingers full of blood and brain, and his cold eyes looked at the other teenagers, chuckling lightly. Who is next? These young men were so frightened that their faces turned pale, and upon hearing this, they immediately ran away. Demon. Killing demon. Don't kill me, I haven't married a wife yet. Grandpa demon, don't kill me. The screams filled with fear echoed through the mountains and forests, startling up flying birds. Ha ha ha. Can we escape? The figure in black laughed recklessly, like a pitch-black gust of wind. In the blink of an eye, it caught up with the group of teenagers, and with a casual wave, it shattered their heads. Hurry, hurry. Lu Heng was also running away. Seeing this scene, he felt his hands and feet cold. He immediately wanted to activate the Gung Gold Sword Qi Fu, and his heart was also roaring, what the hell are you talking about? What kind of ghost world? To cultivate immortality, one must cultivate immortality. But at this moment, the figure in black had already arrived in front of him, with a strong killing intent that made people's spirits tremble. There's one more last one. The figure in black grinned, his right hand raised, his fingers spread open, and his slender and sharp nails shimmered with crimson blood. He forcefully pressed down to pierce through Lu Heng's head and crush it. Ha ha ha, help me practice. I was foolish. Originally, Chapter 5 was supposed to be released at 7 p.m. on a scheduled basis, but when my mind twitched, I didn't choose 7 o'clock p.m. Instead, I chose 7 o'clock p.m. and sent it out in the morning, even earlier than Chapter 4, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Rewards for upgrading to Level 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Rewards for upgrading to Level 1 Bang. The blood-flickering claw fiercely hit the top of Lu Heng's head, but it did not actually hit his head. A thin layer of black light appeared out of thin air, spreading from 3 inches above Lu Heng's head, instantly covering his entire body. The surface halo flowed like water waves, completely removing the attack of this black-clad figure. At the same time, a black aura burst out from the rippling light curtain, hitting the palm of the figure in black and cutting open a bloody wound on it. What? The figure in black was shocked at first, then let out a strange cry. He quickly retreated and looked at Lu Heng incredulously, exclaiming, "Is protecting the body really strong? The 9th level is in the strong Qi realm." A series of nouns popped out of his mouth. However, Lu Heng was not in the mood to discern these terms. As his black figure flew back, he had already activated the Gung Jin Sword Qi Fu and roared, "Die for me." Zheng. The pure white Gung Jin sword energy slashed out in his palm, with a sword light spanning over 10 meters across the mountains and forests, instantly engulfing the figure in black. Wherever it passed, it emitted trembling sounds, like a divine sword unsheathed and slashed through the sky. Sword Gang. Master, spare your life. The figure in black only had time to let out a scream before making any sound. After the qi of the Gung Jin sword dissipated, there were no bones left on the ground, only a deep ravine over 10 meters long, as if it had been plowed once. Ha! Lu Heng let out a deep breath and looked at the sword mark with a slight trance. He gritted his teeth and smiled, "It's not that big of a deal." For him, who had just traveled through a day, this experience was still too exciting. His hand holding the Gung Gold Sword Qi talisman was still trembling, and it took him a while for his mood to calm down. He saw headless corpses and brain fragments in the surrounding area again. How outrageous. Lu Heng felt a darkness before his eyes and quickly averted his gaze, trying to calm his mood again. Then walked towards a cave not far away. There are obvious traces of artificial excavation there, which may be the residence of the figure in black, and perhaps some inheritance can be obtained. There are also many red flowers growing outside the cave, which are the kind of flowers that Sun Chang showed to a group of young people before entering the mountain. The so-called search for this kind of flower is actually asking us to come here and die on our own. Lu Heng scolded Sun Chang 10,000 times in his heart. After entering the cave, the first thing that caught his eye was the pile of white bones piled up like mountains. There were no animals, only human bones, at least 20 or 30, and all the skulls were fragments. Are they all killed by that guy just now? Lu Heng felt his scalp tingling and muttered to himself, from what he meant, it seems like he used people as materials for practicing martial arts. Are all the warriors in this world using this technique? That's too scary. Later, He bypassed the pile of white bones and found that the furnishings in the cave were very simple. Apart from the stone bed, table, and chair, there was only a 3-inch square stone box placed in the corner. There should be his things inside. Lu Heng cautiously approached the stone box, his mind flashing with countless scenes of hidden murders hidden in treasures in martial arts movies and TV dramas. Don't touch them rashly. At this moment, he had a sudden inspiration and held his right hand weakly. I saw a large knife over 3 feet long appear in his hand out of thin air. Its blade was pitch black and transparent, and at the junction with the handle was a black tiger head, giving a very domineering feeling. Black tiger soul capturing blade. At least it's a magical tool, it should be able to split open this stone box. Lu Heng directly lifted the black tiger soul reaching blade and struck down at the stone box with a light force, so as not to break through the contents inside. It has been proven that magic tools are magic tools, even if they are just first-order inferior ones, their sharpness is extremely incredible. Nyo Pai. Lu Heng widened his eyes, feeling that he was not cutting the stone box, but cutting tofu. In just a few seconds, he cut the stone box into a pile of small pieces, effortlessly. The things inside also fell out. There is no need to say much about clothes, shoes, hair crowns, and other things. What makes Lu Heng more concerned is a short sword, a letter, a book, a stack of silver bills, and a bronze medal. Lu Heng's gaze first fell on the silver banknotes, and then he couldn't help but take a cold breath. Sigh. Baofeng silver account, 10 guan coins, this stack is probably 20 or 30. It's 200 or 300 guan. Are warriors so rich? Through his predecessor's memory, he has some basic concepts about the currency of this world. Copper coins are the most commonly used currency. 1 copper coin is 1 coin, always 1,000 coins. If it weren't for a disaster year, 20 or 30 guan yuan would be enough to ensure a family of 3 has enough food and clothing for a year, which means these 200 or 300 guan yuan would be enough for their family to spend 10 years. My predecessor has lived for over a decade and hasn't seen so much money before. Lu Heng sighed in his heart and looked at the book again. The cover read, Blood Shadow Divine Claw Technique, and said, this is probably the martial arts that person has demonstrated, which can be used to learn about martial artists in this world. Later, he looked at the iron plaque again and found that both sides were engraved with text. On the one hand, he is the head of the Iron Fist Gate Merchants Grain Transportation in the north. On the other hand, there is the 6th level induction, Zhenghan. Lu Heng's eyes lit up instantly. This is the identity certificate used by sect disciples to freely travel around the world. The evening clouds blend together, and the setting sun melts gold. A 3-entry courtyard in the core area of Heng County. Kai Kong, the minister of Heku, lay leisurely on a rocking chair, gazing at the sunset in the sky. He thought to himself, calculate the time, Zhenghan should have finished practicing martial arts. According to the agreement, I can learn Blood Shadow Divine Claw skill tomorrow. He is quite excited about this. Blood Shadow Divine Claw technique is a top-notch move with extremely powerful power. As long as he learns this skill, Kai Kong has confidence in defeating his opponents and will be relieved of his shame when he returns to the capital to report his duties. For this reason, he sent a total of 36 teenagers to Zhenghan as materials for practicing martial arts. Just as Kai Kong was imagining a better future, one of his attendants hurriedly ran over from outside and whispered, "Young master, there's a little lady from the county government. She's Pei Jiqing, the foreign affairs chief of Heng County from the Zixiao sect. She's inquiring about Zhenghan's whereabouts at the county magistrate's place." Zixiao sect. Kai Kong raised his eyebrows slightly upon hearing this, sat up straight, frowned, and said, being able to serve as the foreign affairs chief of a county is at least the 6th level. Did she say what to do with Zhenghan? I didn't say anything, the attendant shook his head and said, the county magistrate has also asked, but she avoided discussing this and only said that Zhenghan made a big mistake. We must find him as soon as possible, otherwise it may trigger a rebellion. Ah, if there is a rebellion, then there will be a rebellion. If we suppress it, the knife is in our hands, Kai Kong said nonchalantly, waving his hand. The power of the Purple Sky sect is indeed not weak, but a leader cannot stir up any waves. What the young master said is reasonable. The attendant nodded in agreement and then asked, by the way, young master, the county magistrate is hosting a banquet to entertain her tonight. We invite you to come too. Do you want to go? Go, why not go? Kai Kong smiled at the words and slowly stood up, looking towards the direction of the county government. Zixiao sect, Pei Jiqing. I hope you can understand the current situation and not harm my good deeds. In the cave. After confirming that Zheng Han's inheritance was free of poison, Lu Heng put away the silver ticket, token, and short sword and prepared to take a look at Blood Shadow Divine Claw technique. But at this moment, he noticed something unusual in the game Xiuxian. In the game, the dark clouds over the mountains and forests suddenly sank, and pure white electric lights flickered in them, emitting roars. At the same time, a strong wind swept in, causing the entire forest to start shaking. The warning symbol appeared again above the little person's head. Two more than when I encountered that elite monster before. Boom. Suddenly, a loud bang exploded in the game, and a white tiger dozens of times larger than a little person flew out of the dark clouds. The surface of this white tiger shimmered with electric lights, surrounded by storms that looked incredibly fierce. It was suspended in the air, looking down at the little figure from a high position. Encounter the leader monster, Baisha Mountain Lord. A blood-red text prompt appears. At the same time, a thick and long health bar appeared directly below the game interface, running horizontally through the length of 3/4 of the light screen. It was obvious that it was many, many times more powerful than the previous elite monster. Now it's a real boss. Lu Heng widened his eyes and looked at the little character in the game interface, feeling nervous involuntarily. I don't know if there is a chance for this arcade game to be resurrected, so I don't think it's worth spending money on. Roar. The White Demon Mountain Lord roared and rushed towards the little person, like its predecessors, colliding with the small sword that was spinning around the little person. Immediately, a white light flashed, and the small sword pierced through the huge white tiger, instantly cutting it into two pieces from the middle, falling to the ground, one on the left and the other on the right. Lu Heng was dumbfounded and extremely shocked in his heart. Is this a hang-up? It's a hang-up, isn't it? This is the boss. Flash sale. I won't even install it when I open it, right? Kill the leader monster, White Sha Mountain Lord. Experience plus 45, Tiger Bone plus 3, Tiger Meat plus 3, Tiger Blood plus 3, Tiger Claw plus 4, Tiger Skin plus 1, Tiger Whip plus 1, Inner Pill plus 1, Backpack Grid, Special Reward, plus 5, Wind and Thunder Sha Qi, Special Drop, plus 3, New Monster, Baisha Mountain Lord is included. Reward the Cultivation Technique, White Tiger Killing Secret Collection. Kill the leader of the area, and there will be no more monsters refreshing in the area for a month. First level treasure chest plus 1, level increase to level 1, 23/200, rebirth pill plus 1, backpack grid plus 10, flying sword damage plus 1, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Ejin Marrow, Rebirth and Transformation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Ejin Marrow, Rebirth and Transformation, Inner Alchemy. First level top. Grade. The essence of demon cultivation, a metallic inner alchemy full of ominous Qi. After dispelling the ominous Qi, it can be used as an amplification spiritual object for alchemy or refining tools. It is one of the auxiliary materials required for building foundations in refining lower-grade foundation pills. Wind and Thunder Sha Qi. First level intermediate. The Sha Qi that gathers the power of wind and thunder can be thrown as an attack method, with the power equivalent to a full strike from the 5th layer of Qi refining. White Tiger Killing Life Secret Collection, Fragmented Chapter. 2nd level Lower level. The remaining chapter of the Golden Elixir Technique, White Tiger Killing Life Manual, can be practiced until the early stage of foundation building. It carries the energy of killing life and holds the power of Gung Jin to build a foundation. The magic power contains the true intention of killing life, restraining all beings in the realm that is not higher than oneself. 1st level Treasure Chest. Upon opening, you can receive a reward that is not higher than the 1st level premium. If you open 10 treasure chests at the same time, you can receive at least one reward for the 1st level premium, and there is a lower probability of obtaining a 2nd level reward for a random level. Rebirth and Bone Transformation Pill. 1st level top. Grade. It can remove acquired impurities, wash tendons and marrow easily, undergo rebirth and bone transformation, greatly improve qualification and root bones, and there are no realm constraints before the 7th level of Qi refining. This series of rewards surprised Lu Heng immensely. The most concerning skill for him is undoubtedly the cultivation technique, White Tiger Killing Life Secret Collection. Although it is mentioned in the introduction that this is only a fragment, he can still practice until the early stage of foundation building, which is definitely enough for him now. And this effect seems to be very powerful. Finally, I can start cultivating immortals. Lu Heng eagerly took out the White Tiger Killing Life Secret Collection, held it in his hand, carefully flipped through it, and quickly understood the introductory cultivation method of this secret collection. Soak 3 liang of tiger bones in 1 pound of strong liquor for 3 hours, then take out the tiger bones and pour in 3 liang of fresh tiger blood. While drinking the blood wine, run the White Tiger Killing Life Secret Collection to step into the 1st layer of Qi refining. At that time, you can also practice the supporting, killing sword technique. Although it is swordsmanship, it is not martial arts, but the art of guarding the sword. It needs to be combined with the White Tiger Sword technique after refining the 4 layers of Qi in order to fully exert its power. There is no mystical truth in this secret collection, and the language and words are very straightforward. It simply tells the cultivator clearly what to do, how to do it, and what results and gains will be obtained after completion. I have a lot of tiger bones and tiger blood, but I don't have this strong liquor. Lu Heng frowned slightly and then turned his gaze to the outside of the mountain, muttering to himself, nowadays, there is a severe drought in the world, and the Zhaoyang army is fighting again. Food is scarce, and looking at the entire Heng County, there are probably not many families with strong liquor. At this moment, he suddenly had an idea and thought of what County Captain Sun Chang had said outside the mountains and forests before. Sun Chang once invited those soldiers to his house for a drink, saying it was top. Quality liquor. In the blink of an eye, Lu Heng made a decision. I'll go to Heng County and go to the home of County Captain Sun Chang to get some wine. That's right, just take it. How can the matter of cultivators be called stealing? However, before going down the mountain, take the Rebirth and Bone Transformation Pill. Although it is only a pill to improve one's qualifications, it can also increase one's physical fitness to some extent and make it faster when running. Lu Heng took out the Rebirth pill from the game and also glanced at several other rewards. The inner pill was temporarily unavailable, and the Wind and Thunder Sha Qi could serve as a trump card stronger than the Gum Gold Sword Qi. As for that treasure chest, since there is a 10 guarantee mechanism, it must wait until you have accumulated enough before opening. Smelling the refreshing fragrance of the pill, Lu Heng put this Rebirth pill into his mouth. Immediately, the pill turned into a cool airflow that settled down his throat, spreading to his organs and limbs in an instant, and then transforming into a faint warmth that nourished every corner of his body. Lu Heng has never experienced such a comfortable feeling before, and at this moment, his perception of his body has also increased to a very high level. He can even hear his heartbeat and blood flow, which is very magical. After about a quarter of an hour, the efficacy of the Rebirth and Bone Transformation Pill was fully absorbed, and Lu Heng slowly recovered from that extremely comfortable feeling and began to check his body's changes. The originally lean body has become healthy and tall, jumping from a height of about 1.6 meters to 1.8 meters. The contours of the muscles have also become more prominent, and even the abdominal muscles have been added. Compared to before, the overall physical condition can be said to be completely different. Bang! He stomped his foot fiercely, and there was a loud noise in the cave, as if the whole thing was trembling. Damn it, so fierce! Lu Heng was stunned by the cracks in the stone under his feet. He didn't even exert too much force just now, but instead kicked out 4 or 5 cracks that were more than 10 centimeters long on the ground of this cave. Next, he briefly tried his abilities such as jumping, running, and climbing, and found that they were far beyond the limits of ordinary people, belonging to the level where he could easily win an all-around Olympic championship on Earth without any effort. To put it more exaggeratedly, it can even be considered as a little superhero. Is this really just about improving one's basic qualifications? Lu Heng was very surprised. The effect of this rebirth pill was also too powerful, and his current physique was probably no less than that of an ordinary warrior. Take a look at this book, Blood Shadow Divine Claw Technique. It should describe the warrior's state, right? After flipping through this martial arts secret collection, his heart was even more shocked and he thought to himself, the strength runs through gold and stones, like a fierce horse, with blood and energy like a river, and stamina that never stops. This is the 4th level of ascending to the sky, the characteristic of a martial artist in the Marrow realm. According to the description in the book, the martial arts path is difficult, and the achievement of the Marrow realm is already considerable. Ordinary people start practicing martial arts day and night, and those who can enter the Marrow realm within 10 years can be said to have abundant talent. Most people need to spend more than 20 years to have a chance to wash their marrow, and during this period, they don't know how many tonics and secret medicines they need to consume. Without some family wealth, they may not reach this level in their lifetime. And I just took one pill, for a little over a quarter of an hour in total, without practicing anything. I was like a martial artist in the 4th level. The previous Zheng Han was only in the 6th level. This is unbelievable. Just improving one's qualifications has such a powerful effect. If one really starts cultivating immortals, what kind of scenery should it be? Lu Heng's heart became increasingly hopeful. Later, he opened the letter again and simply read it, his expression becoming suspicious and uncertain. How dare Zheng Han secretly sell grain to the governor of Guizhou with the county magistrate of Heng? Heng County is under the jurisdiction of Shangzhou and is one of the 7 counties under the command of the military governor of Zhaoyang. The Huai River and the Jiang River intersect here, making it an important center for transporting money and food during wars. Nowadays, the Zhaoyang army's deployment to Guizhou is ostensibly to suppress the rebellious officials of the Great Qi Court, but in reality, it is the desire of the military governor to expand his territory. At this critical point in time, Heng County, as an important logistics supply area, surprisingly colluded with the enemy. Once this matter is exposed, the Zhao army will definitely attack Heng County after returning from Guizhou, and this place will probably be killed into a wasteland. Lu Heng felt his head as big as a fight, and cursed Zheng Han and the Heng County magistrate 10,000 times in his heart, thinking to himself, we must start cultivating immortality as soon as possible and leave this land of right and wrong. With this in mind, he walked towards the mountains and forests without hesitation. First, take care of those people like Sun Chang. Beyond the mountains and forests. Sun Chang and the 20 soldiers saw birds flying into the sky in the forest and knew what had happened inside. It seems like it's over, Sun Chang said to the 20 soldiers with a smile. Everyone, let's go back and drink at my house. Don't go back until you're drunk. These 20 warriors were quite moved by this. They were all young and strong warriors who enjoyed drinking alcohol. The military governor of Zhaoyang was extremely strict in governing the army. Previously, when they were in the military camp, they dared not drink a drop of alcohol. Now that I have arrived in Heng County, without any military restrictions, I naturally want to have a good drink. Therefore, a group of soldiers quickly reached a consensus and nodded and smiled. Okay, we will thank the young master for his hospitality. However, just as they were planning to set off and return to Heng County, they suddenly felt a tall and upright figure slowly emerge from the mountains and forests. From his attire, this person should be the young laborers who were just driven into the mountains, but those laborers were all thin and hard-working. How could they have such a tall and upright figure? What person? Sun Chang questioned loudly and gave a glance to the several soldiers around him, asking them to slowly approach. If there was any unusual movement, they would immediately take action. Lu Heng remained silent, but his pace suddenly quickened. In the blink of an eye, he was almost approaching Sun Chang and shouted loudly. Take care of your people. Request for follow-up reading in monthly pass, end of this chapter. Chapter 7. Kill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Kill. Stop. 3 soldiers shouted loudly and took a step forward, stabbing their long spears at Lu Heng in an attempt to kill him. But at this moment, a pitch-black long sword suddenly appeared in Lu Heng's palm out of thin air, and with a fierce swing, he slashed at the 3 armored soldiers. Click. The 3 spears were instantly cut off, and the sharp blade continued to move forward, directly striking the scales worn by the 3 warriors. These valuable scales and armor have extremely strong defense, enough to make these warriors unscathed when facing the warriors in the 4th level. Under the blade of the 1st level magic weapon, these scales and armor were like paper paste, instantly broken open by the Black Tiger's soul mastering blade, and the flesh inside was cut in half like tofu. Puff. Lu Duan's body fell to the ground, and blood gushed out like a fountain from the fracture, flushing out various internal organs. At this moment, these 3 soldiers were not dead yet, and they let out extremely mournful screams as they desperately crawled towards their other body on the ground. Kill him. Sun Chang shouted in shock, giving orders to the remaining 17 soldiers. Retreat. The 17 soldiers retreated in unison, turning around and fleeing. Turn a deaf ear to Sun Chang's words. Just now, Lu Heng's knife had already scared them out of their wits, and they had no intention of attacking. They are only in the 2nd level of forging bones, relying solely on scales and armor to defeat the warriors in the 4th level. Now, under Lu Heng's knife, this scale armor is like waste paper, there is no reason why it cannot escape. And just between these 2 shouts, Lu Heng had already come to Sun Chang and without hesitation swung his knife to chop it down. As a county lieutenant, Sun Chang also had some martial arts skills, but only reached the 3rd level of Qi Jin, and was always well maintained, almost never in actual combat. Now, he was scared out of courage and didn't even have the courage to fight back. Puff. Blood spurted into the sky, and a large head flew up. The headless body fell to the ground, and its limbs were still trembling and twitching slightly. Sun Chang, the captain of Heng County, died as a result. 17 soldiers who were fleeing saw this situation and were about to break their liver and gallbladder. They began to run while taking off their scales and armor to speed up their escape. Discard your armor. However, it was useless. With just a few steps, Lu Heng, who had undergone a transformation, crossed a distance of more than 20 meters and arrived behind this group of fleeing warriors. He swung the Black Tiger Soul Reaper blade, like chopping melons and vegetables, 1 blade at a time, and in the blink of an eye, he killed a clean person. 50 armored soldiers brought by Kai Kong, the minister of Heku, from the army of Zhaoyang were thus beheaded by Lu Heng and killed by 20 of them. When the realm is not high, the advantage of weapons is extremely obvious. Who? A gust of wind swept away a hint of bloody smell. Ha! Lu Heng exhaled heavily, looking at the bloody corpses on the ground. His spirit was still a bit excited, but after a while, he calmed down a bit and murmured, "Today I killed a total of 20.2 people. This is the 2nd day of the journey." What kind of ghost world is this? It's really outrageous. However, can I kill with such calmness because the Black Tiger Soul Reaper blade has a calming effect on the mind? Heng looked at the pitch-black long knife in his hand, and with a sudden thought, he put it back into the backpack compartment of the game. In the next moment, his face changed greatly, and he quickly took out the knife again, chuckling bitterly twice. TSK, I overestimated myself. Later, he looked at the corpses scattered all over the ground, pondered for a moment, and then squatted down to touch them. In no time, there was a harvest. 3 guan copper coins, 5 10 guan silver bills with denominations, a book of martial arts manuals, and a circular iron plaque are official badges of Sun Chang. On one side is the inscription, Shangzhou Heian County Captain, and on the other side is the inscription, from the 9th rank, Sun Chang. The format is similar to Zheng Han's piece. This thing will be of great use in the future. Heng put away his official card and looked at the martial arts manual again, which couldn't help but be a bit surprised. It's actually the basic martial arts manual of the Iron Fist sect. How could Sun Chang have this? He was puzzled in his heart, but couldn't think of a reason for a moment, so he decided to put away the martial arts manual and the money together. Then, the wounds of these corpses were torn apart and buried on the spot. This can to some extent conceal the traces. The Black Tiger Soul Capturing Blade is truly a magical tool. It is not only effective in chopping people, but also extremely efficient in digging pits. In no time, Heng buried the bodies of these people in deep pits. Finally, Heng stepped on it a few times and looked up at the sky. The dark clouds covered the moon and the stars were nowhere to be seen. It was already dark at night and the wind was high. He nodded and whispered, "It's time to go to Sun Chang's house to get some wine." In his capacity, it is impossible to enter the city during the day, only at night. In the guest hall of the backyard of Heian County government, the lights were brightly lit, as bright as day. In order to express his valued attitude, County Magistrate Fang Qian invited all the local influential figures to attend this banquet and sweep away the dust for Pei Jiqing. It goes without saying that the county magistrate and chief clerk of the county government, as well as the leaders of local clans and the shopkeepers of large businesses, have all come. In a sense, it can be considered a gathering of high friends. This is all to establish a good relationship with Pei Jiqing. After all, the Zixiao sect is the strongest martial arts sect in Shangzhou, with intricate relationships with the military governor of Zhaoyang, and has strong control over Shangzhou's grain, salt, and shipping industries. Pei Jiqing, as the foreign affairs chief of Heian County of the Zixiao sect, can decide who to cooperate with in the business of the Zixiao sect here. For these families and businesses, it can be said that one word can determine life and death. As someone who came down from the capital, Kai Kong didn't pay much attention to Pei Jiqing. However, under Fang Qian's warm invitation, he still sat on both sides of the main seat with Fang Qian, waiting for Pei Jiqing's arrival. By the time the food and drinks had already been served and the agreed time for the banquet had passed, Pei Jiqing still did not appear, and the people of the families and businesses present at the banquet began to become restless. Kai Kong looked indifferent, he just came to join the fun and asked Zheng Han what had happened. Fang Qian furrowed his brow, his gaze flickered, and he didn't know what he was thinking. At this moment, a petty official ran in from outside, whispered a few words in his ear, and then hurriedly left. What a toast, no punishment. Fang Qian's face suddenly changed, and in a fit of anger, he directly crushed the wine glass in his hand into powder. I heard the petty official say earlier. Kai Kong leaned over and asked, "Is Pei Jiqing missing? Go find it for me immediately." Fang Qian ignored Kai Kong and ordered the county government officials, "Be sure to find Pei Jiqing, hurry." Now he realized why Pei Jiqing, who had always been indifferent, would agree to attend this reception banquet. I just want to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Let's take this opportunity to secretly investigate the fact that the grain of Heian County was sold to the governor of Shangzhou. I absolutely can't let this little girl show off. If it really doesn't work, then take her out. The moon enters the mid-sky and approaches the hour of midnight. Lu Heng, dressed in the attire of a petty official, arrived outside the city of Heng County and looked at the city wall in front of him, which was at least 30 meters high, not secretly amazed. It's truly a world where martial arts exist, and this height is too exaggerated, and it's just a county town. The ancient city walls in China were generally only 7 or 8 meters high, with not many exceeding 10 meters. It is also unknown how people in this world built such high city walls. Such a high city wall, unless it can fly, it is impossible to sneak inside. Fortunately, I made preparations in advance. Lu Heng took out Sun Chang's official badge from his arms, tidied up his Shuli uniform, and walked towards the city gate. Before coming to Heng County, he went to the bank of the Huai River and quietly infiltrated the supervisor's residence, stripping off the clothes of the petty official who had killed his predecessor and throwing them into the Huai River. On the one hand, it is to use this attire of a petty official to forge identity, and on the other hand, it can be considered as revenge for his predecessor. At this moment, the guard standing at the gate of Heng County was already dozing off. Suddenly, he felt a black shadow appear in front of him, and he suddenly woke up with a wake-up call. He shouted sternly, "What kind of person?" The guards around also trembled and became clear-headed, hastily surrounding the incoming people. According to the Qi law, a curfew was imposed from the hour of Hai to the hour of Chou the next day. Those who left the city or outside without reason during this period were considered as night criminals, and were subject to 20 lashes. If caught outside the city, you will be taken to jail on the spot. Both of these have places where they can make a profit, so the guards are naturally proactive. But upon closer inspection, they found that he was a young man dressed as a petty official, holding an iron plaque with the words, "Shangzhou Heng County Captain," written on it. It's Lu Heng. Sun Xiaofu's official badge. The guard who first noticed Lu Heng recognized the iron badge and exclaimed in surprise, "Did Sun Xiaofu send you here?" The other guards suddenly lost their motivation and dispersed, but their gaze remained on this side. Although they couldn't make any money, they were all a bit curious. What is the urgent matter with Sun Xiaofu? In order to send people into the city at this time, even the official badge was handed over to this petty official. That's right, and it's very urgent. Lu Heng nodded repeatedly, using his acting skills to make a look of anxiety and pleaded, "Brothers, if I can't handle it well, Sun Xiaofu will have to skin me off. Please be accommodating and treat you to a drink another day." His attitude immediately won the favor of the guards, and they all nodded, saying that everyone didn't need to be polite. They immediately opened the city gate and agreed to drink in the most luxurious Wangyue Tower in the county town 3 days later. Although some people may think that Lu Heng is somewhat unfamiliar, they also feel that as long as there is alcohol to drink, it is not a big deal. Most likely a young man who has just inherited the position of a petty official from his father's generation. Can someone still dare to steal the official badge and pretend to be an official? After entering the county town, Lu Heng immediately took advantage of the start of a sprint and quickly moved towards Sun Chang's house. Before throwing the petty official into the Huai River, he also asked where Sun Chang's mansion was in the county town, so that he could go over and take out the liquor. But before he arrived at Sun Chang's house, he noticed that there had been a change in the game, Cultivation of Immortals. At this moment, corresponding to reality, the little characters in the game also arrived in a city. Lu Heng had anticipated this earlier, which is not surprising. But next to this little person, there was actually a new text prompt. Enter the safe city area and gain a buff status of +1 month of road travel per day. Dao Xing. What is this? Seeking monthly tickets for follow-up reading, end of this chapter. Chapter 8. The Small People in Chaotic Times. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The Small People in Chaotic Times. Lu Heng took advantage of the darkness to rush towards Sun Chang's house while checking the introduction of Dao Xing in the game interface. Dao Xing. After entering the Dao protection method, you can consume Dao Xing to improve the cultivation progress of the Dao protection method, until you reach the highest level of your current cultivation level. After reading the introduction, he immediately understood. Good guy. Isn't this deep blue? My strength all comes from my own hard work of cultivation. Give me some extra points. However, there are still differences. This practice can only improve the cultivation progress of the method of protecting the path, and the cultivation level may still have to be achieved by oneself. The method of protecting the Tao, as the name suggests, is the method of guarding the path of cultivating immortals, including but not limited to spells, Taoist techniques, spells, swordsmanship, sword techniques, arrays, elixirs, talismans, and so on. I used to think it was a bit disappointing not to have monsters refresh when I entered the city, but now it seems like it's pretty good, said Lu Heng in a good mood. Tonight, he walked the road from the Huai River to Heian County and conducted an experiment on the way to determine the monster refresh area in the game Xiuxian. The official roads along the way, passing through post stations, villages, markets, and other places, do not have monsters to refresh. However, if 1 mile away from these places, monsters will start to refresh again. This made Lu Heng make a preliminary judgment. Namely, monsters will only refresh in areas with low levels of manual modification. So when he left the bank of the Huai River under the leadership of Sun Chang and others and walked onto the official road, there were no monsters to refresh. Similarly, it can be inferred that after arriving at the county town, there will likely be no monsters refreshing here. The fact is indeed so. I just didn't expect to be able to achieve enlightenment. This is an unexpected joy. When I get started with the breathing wind curse, summoning rain curse, and killing sword technique, I can directly add points to them. A smile appeared on the corner of Lu Heng's mouth. He had previously worried that practicing these spells would be too difficult and time-consuming. Now with Daoxing, everything is no longer a problem. However, the top priority is to first go to Sun Chang's house to take those spirits away, and then find a place to hide. After breaking through to the first layer of Qi refining, leave here to avoid being affected by the return of the Zhaoyang army. He thought to himself this way, but his footsteps slightly slowed down. His gaze involuntarily turned to a small courtyard in front of him, and scenes flashed through his mind. It seems that a middle-aged woman is leading a little girl who looks only 7 or 8 years old to bid him farewell. Brother, I can cook now. You need to come back early and I'll make delicious food for you. My son, serving corvée is not like staying at home. You should work honestly, not talk back to others, be obedient, and wait for you to come back. Sigh. Lu Heng slowly approached and stood at the entrance of the small courtyard in silence for a moment. Then he was about to turn around and leave, continuing towards Sun Chang's house, when suddenly he heard a voice coming from inside. Mom, I'm so hungry I can't sleep. Ah Qin, be good. Tomorrow's mother will find a way to find something to eat for you, and she won't let you go hungry. Mother, when can brother come back? He won't have no food, will he? No, the government has agreed to take care of the food. Ah Heng will definitely not go hungry, definitely. That's great, brother. It's really uncomfortable without food. By the way, Mom, why hasn't Uncle come lately? Your uncle, he has gone far away and will be back in a while. I know now, just like Daddy, when will Daddy come back? Your father will definitely come back too, sob. Mother, why are you crying? Mother, I was wrong. I'm not hungry anymore. Don't cry, woo-woo. All that came from the yard was the cries of the mother and daughter. Mother, sister, Lu Heng murmured softly. He thought of his wandering life as an orphan on earth, where he suffered from hunger, cold, and uncertainty. However, at that time, no one cared about him, nor did anyone wait for him to return home. But am I still the person they were waiting for? Lu Heng closed his eyes lightly and quickly had the answer in his heart. Yes, not really. We can only plan after successfully cultivating immortality, how capable we are to accomplish so much. With his mind set, he no longer hesitated and decided to leave some fish and meat before continuing to the Sun Chang family. Before Lu Heng could retrieve the fish from his game backpack, he heard a commotion coming from afar. It turned out that a team of servants were kicking doors door to door and rushing in, as if searching for someone. Whether it was the elderly, children, or women wearing only profanity clothes, they were all pulled out of the house and watched helplessly as the servants rushed into the house, rummaging through boxes and cabinets. The cries of children and women, as well as the sighs of the elderly, intertwined. Only there was no shouting or cursing. No one dares to do so. Lu Heng stopped his steps to leave, jumped onto the roof of a house, bent down to hide himself, and stared at the group of servants, waiting quietly. If they dare to kick into their own house like this, don't disturb the people. Pei Jiqing is here. At this moment, a clear female voice suddenly came from a distance, attracting the attention of a group of officers and looking towards the other side in unison. So they're really looking for someone. Lu Heng glanced in the direction where the female voice came from, somewhat surprised. I don't know who Pei Jiqing is, and why was he searched and arrested by the county government officials. She, in order to prevent the people from being harassed, voluntarily exposed her position and observed her words and actions. Should she be a martial arts hero in the martial arts world? Pei Jiqing voluntarily exposed her position in an attempt to lure away these servants. But they didn't immediately pursue them, but instead started to grab the belongings around them, stuffing some scattered copper coins, leftover rice bran, and other items into their arms before coming out of the houses. Then he reluctantly looked at the houses that had not yet been searched, and reluctantly left. On weekdays, they don't have such a chance to openly plunder. A group of servants seemed like locusts passing through, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Only a group of disheveled villagers returned to the house with their heads down, looking at their home that had been looted and wanting to cry without tears. Lu Heng breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that his family had not been harassed, but looking at the affected families not far away, he couldn't help but think to himself, what kind of world is this? Then, he shook his head and placed a few pieces of fish under the eaves of the house. He gently knocked on the door and planned to leave. But at this moment, he suddenly noticed that the little characters in the game, Cultivation of Immortals, had arrived in a special small courtyard. It's special because this courtyard is clearly different from other buildings, and it actually shines with golden light. New text prompts have also appeared next to it. Entering the initial home, the growth rate of the road industry is multiplied by 3 times. Lu Heng was taken aback by the situation and quickly looked at the section on Taoism, realizing that the original 1 month of Taoism/day had changed to 3 months of Taoism/day, just triple it. The initial home corresponds to my home in reality. Lu Heng was somewhat surprised as he looked at some interfaces, and then jumped out of the small courtyard inside. The little people in the game also left the home, and the speed of the road's growth also changed from 3 months/day to 1 month/day. Inside, it's really like this. It seems that my previous decision was right. As long as I have the ability, it's also a good choice to protect Heng County. Moreover, as long as I operate properly, I don't necessarily have to be enemies with the Zhaoyang army. For a moment, many thoughts and plans appeared in his mind, but he shook his head and looked into the distance, continuing to move quickly in the darkness. Target Sun Chang's family. No matter what ideas or plans you have, wait for cultivation before making any plans. The constables who were chasing Pei Jiqing were still running around the streets, but with their level, they could not even detect Lu Heng, who was already comparable to the 4th level warrior. Sun Chang is a county magistrate, and his family will not be searched at all. Those petty officials did not even approach and turned to other places at the intersection, fearing that Sun Chang's family would misunderstand. This directly led to Lu Heng's unimpeded arrival at Sun Chang's house, as if strolling through his own backyard. Good guy, this county lieutenant is too wealthy in the courtyard of Wujin. Lu Heng couldn't help but sigh psychologically as he looked at Sun Chang's mansion. At the same time, he moved his nose in an attempt to capture the aroma of the wine. After being reborn, his 5 senses and 6 senses became extremely sensitive, and his sense of smell was very strong. As long as he focused, he could smell the scent every few hundred meters. Oh, such a strong taste of alcohol. As soon as Lu Henggang concentrated, he smelled a strong aroma of alcohol, which came from the backyard. He carefully avoided the dozing servants and quickly arrived at the backyard. Then I saw a scene that made people feel like they had a cerebral hemorrhage. A series of brewing machines were placed in this courtyard, surrounded by bags of grain piled up like mountains, and scattered rice grains were scattered everywhere. The food that ordinary people regard as treasures is thrown on the ground like garbage here. Not far away from the wall, there are jars of liquor stacked together, and the entire wall is filled with wine jars, arranged in 3 rows, probably hundreds of jars. How much food will be consumed and how many people will starve to death? Where did a county lieutenant like Sun Chang get so much food from? Lu Heng was furious. Although he has only traveled through a day, he is never unfamiliar with hunger. As an orphan in his previous life, he suffered from hunger for a short period of time, and the memories of this life of serving as a corvée and starving in the river and canal are also real. Moreover, in recent years, the food supply in Heng County has always been in short supply, and ordinary people often have to go hungry after finishing their last meal. This is still because Heng County is located in the south and at the intersection of waterways, with a superior geographical location, so no one has starved to death for the time being. It is said that the north has become a purgatory on the inner world, and even the tragedy of cannibalism has occurred in the 12 states of Yuqing. Just as Lu Heng cursed Sun Chang psychologically, the game interface of Xuxian changed again, with a new text prompt appearing. Now in the dungeon area, killing all the leader monsters for the first time and completing the level will earn additional rewards. What? Copy. Is there still this mechanism? Lu Heng was shocked at the sight. But before he could investigate carefully, he heard a cold and alert female voice coming from behind. Who are you and why are you here? Seeking monthly pass for follow-up reading. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Female Heroes in Difficulties. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Female Heroes in Difficulties, Who are you and what are you doing here? Lu Heng didn't answer the question and turned to look over, while also preparing the Guishui amulet and the Gung gold sword Qi talisman. If the situation is not right, just take action directly. What caught his eye was a masked man in black. Eyes are bright and cool. The sound is also somewhat familiar. Are you Pei Jiqing? Lu Heng thought of the voice he had heard at home before, which matched the voice of the woman in front of him. The woman in black did not answer, but her vigilance and killing intent in her eyes were noticeably weakened. She said in a deep voice, "It seems that you are not from the government." After speaking, she leaped out of here and disappeared into the night. Good guy, is this the martial arts heroine? If I were from the government, wouldn't I have to take action? Lu Heng exclaimed in surprise. At the same time, she sniffed her nose and frowned. She had a bloody smell while speaking earlier. Was she injured? The reason for hiding here is to use the rich aroma of wine to mask the bloody smell. However, he only had a fleeting thought about it and didn't think much about it. His attention shifted to the game, Cultivation of Immortals. At this point, the little character in the screen is standing in a dungeon called Wine Demon Cellar, with a symbol of 0/2 in the upper right corner, indicating that there are a total of 2 bosses in the dungeon. Although the bosses have not been killed yet, the little monsters have already killed quite a few. A series of wine jars with long hands and feet emerged from all directions, crashing into the flying sword next to the little man like moths to the fire, and then being instantly killed. Kill the wine jar demon, experience +1, liquor +1, kill the wine jar demon, experience +1, wine lees +1, kill the wine jar demon, experience +1, premium liquor +1, include +1 new monsters and reward 1 pot of the lower level spirit wine, Ganlu drink. Ganlu drink. A first order lower grade spirit liquor made from various spiritual medicines. It has a refreshing taste and is easy to intoxicate. It is suitable for refining qi from the 1st to 6th layers to heal injuries or restore magic. Lu Heng looked at the series of liquor rewards and felt speechless. Now he doesn't need to take Sun Chang's wine at all, just drop it with the wine jar demon. And there is also a jar of top quality liquor. Maybe the effect will be better. According to the description in the White Tiger Killing Life Secret Collection, only ordinary spirits can be used, and spiritual spirits cannot be used. After a little contemplation, Lu Heng made a decision. There is no need to continue waiting, just use this jar of top quality spirits. Subsequently, he took out the premium liquor from the game backpack and soaked the tiger bones in it according to the ratio. During this process, the surrounding wine vessels played a significant measuring role. Next, it's time to wait quietly for 3 hours. Of course, the waiting time is not boring either. The number of monsters in the game has started to decrease and will soon be cleared by the little ones. Suddenly, a warning symbol of appeared above the little person's head. There is one more elite monster encountered in the wilderness, but one less than the leader monster in the wilderness. Encounter the dungeon leader monster, Wine Demon Gourd. The flying sword beside the little man suddenly lit up, ready to face the battle. Lu Heng looked at the game interface with enthusiasm, finally starting to boss. I don't know what the reward will be this time. Under the night. Pei Jiqing sneaked along the dark place to the city gate. After a few careful glances, he had no choice but to leave. With his martial arts skills, he couldn't even do it, and without realizing it, he opened the city gate and left. I can only wait for the crowd leaving the city during the day. I hope that Feng Qian, the dog official, will not seal the city. She frowned lightly and looked at the high and thick city wall, feeling a deep sense of powerlessness in her heart. I'm still too reckless, I shouldn't have exposed my intentions so quickly. But this matter is urgent and cannot be delayed. The Zhaoyang army has already captured 3 checkpoints in Kangzhou and will soon occupy the entire territory. It won't be long before they return. I must find Jinghan before that, so that I have the opportunity to ask Master to come forward and quell this matter. However, it's worth it to be able to find this information. Jinghan is really damn. He dares to bribe the Heyang County captain to sell grain to the Kangzhou governor. This is to drag the entire people of Heyang County to bury him. Moreover, from tonight's situation, Pei Jiqing speculates that County Magistrate Feng Qian may also be involved. This means that Heyang County can almost be considered as enemy occupied. With the style of Cui Zheng, the military governor of Zhaoyang, after conquering Heyang County, he will definitely lead his troops to plunder and perhaps even slaughter to vent his anger. I don't know how many innocent people will die by chance. Hurry up, this way, there's a bloody smell here. At this moment, Pei Jiqing suddenly heard hurried footsteps and shouts coming from not far away. Under the black cloth, the face of the cleaner changed slightly, and he quickly crawled into the nearby street. He turned over and entered a courtyard, hiding in a corner with a short body. At the same time, he poured some strong liquor on his body to cover up the bloody smell. Hissing. Pei Jiqing gritted her silver teeth tightly, and the strong liquor seeped through her clothes and flowed into the wound on her back. The waves of intense pain made her feel a bit dizzy, and her heart became even more urgent. I want to hold on, I must go back to the sect and report the situation here to the master. Not only about things related to Zhenghan, but also some experiences tonight that made her feel like there might be something big going on in the seemingly ordinary hidden currents of Heyang County. I don't know who the person who secretly attacked me was. He could have hit me seriously from afar without showing his face, at least at the peak of the 6th level, and even possibly entered the 7th level. But such a person has a considerable reputation in the martial arts world. Why did he hide in this small city of Heng County? And why did he not continue to pursue me? With his power, he should be able to capture me on the spot. There was also the young man who suddenly sneaked into the county magistrate Sun Chang's house. Judging from his figure and pace, his martial arts should be ordinary, but his whole body was incredibly rich in qi and blood. What was his identity and what he did? When she was feeling anxious, her thoughts were so mixed. Pei Jiqing only felt that her body was getting heavier and her vision became blurred. Finally, she couldn't hold on and fainted in front of her. As soon as the sky was bright, Lu Qin, who was only 8 years old, had already risen. She is going to the morning market with her mother, using the fish and meat that mysteriously appeared under her roof last night to exchange for food. Although fish and meat are delicious, they are not very hungry, let alone a few meals. If it could be exchanged for food, it would be able to sustain for a period of time and not go hungry like it is now. As soon as Lu Qin opened the door, he found a masked woman in black lying in the corner of the yard. He immediately startled her and shouted, "Mother, mother, someone fell into the yard." At the beginning of the sunrise, a golden glow rose from the horizon. In the backyard of Sun Chang's house, Lu Heng gazed at the interface of the game, Cultivation of Immortals. At this moment, Sharoner has just killed the last boss in the dungeon of the Wine Demon Cellar. The reward prompts have accumulated a long string, all neatly arranged in the text prompt box on the left side of the interface, and equipped with a scroll wheel to scroll and view all information. Kill, Meizijing, experience +1, wheat seed +1, include new monsters +1, reward spell, spirit plant technique, kill the leader monster, Wine Demon Gourd. Experience +22, drunken god wine +10, demon gourd +1, magic tool manual, special drop, +1, new monster, Wine Demon Gourd, is included. Reward the first level medium level magical tool, Qiankuan Gourd. Kill the leader monster, My Gui. Experience +28, granary +11, spirit wheat seed +3, inner pill +1, backpack grid +3, new monster, My Gui, is included. Reward the first level medium level magic tool, Hua My Whip. Kill 2 dungeon leaders, this dungeon cooldown is 1 month. First level treasure chest +2, first time completing the dungeon, Wine Demon Cellar, reward the first level top.grade magical tool, internal fire pill stove, level 1, 179/200, staying in the safe city for more than 6 hours on the same day plus 1 month on the road. This series of rewards almost dazzled Lu Heng. The joy of a bountiful harvest filled his heart. Of course, what made him even happier was that those 3 hours had finally passed. Next, just drink all the liquor and run the White Tiger Killing Life Secret Collection to step into the realm of Qi refining. Without carefully examining the introduction of the rewards, Lu Heng went over and took out the tiger bones from the wine jar, poured in 3 or 2 tails of tiger blood, shook them well, and then lifted the wine jar. Drink it all in 1 gulp. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Gas Refining Layer 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Gas Refining Layer 1. Strong liquor entering the throat is like a knife cutting. Because of the addition of tiger blood, mixed with a strong bloody taste. Anyway, it's very unpleasant to drink. Fortunately, Lu Heng had undergone a transformation and had considerable control over his own qi, blood, and body, which prevented him from spitting it out directly. He suppressed the feeling of surging in his stomach and tried to operate the martial arts route in White Tiger Killing Secret Collection. At the beginning, Lu Heng felt the bloody smell in his mouth and stomach quickly disappear, turning into wisps of warm air, wandering between his limbs and bones. The body, which was already capable of penetrating through gold and stones, has been further strengthened like a galloping horse. Especially in the chest area, a faint white light appeared, filled with a sense of solemnity. Inside, there seemed to be a huge arsenal of weapons, and the sound of metal and iron clashing could be heard. Lu Heng felt a nearly overflowing aura of sharpness in his chest, about to burst out of his throat. So he opened his mouth and suddenly saw a 3-foot white light burst out, full of killing sharpness, flying 7 or 8 meters away, piercing through a thick wall. At this point, Lu Heng finally felt that the power inside his body had stabilized. At the same time, a refreshing qi emanates from the lungs and flows to every corner of the body, nourishing the qi and blood meridians, as well as the 5 organs and 6 viscera. As long as his thoughts move, he can mobilize this force to gather and release it outside the body, transforming it into a powerful energy that can kill people from afar. Refining gas in one layer. This is just pure natural magic without any technical enhancement, Lu Heng exclaimed in his heart. If I had learned magic and swordsmanship, what power would it be? I don't know what kind of martial artist it is now equivalent to. The description of the martial arts realm in the secret collection of Blood Shadow Divine Claw technique is incomplete, only reaching the 6th level of ascending heaven. Therefore, now he can only confirm that he should be stronger than the 6th level of sensing realm. After all, even if a warrior in the realm of induction reaches its peak, it is only a matter of sprouting qi, giving birth to internal power, and within 3 feet, attacking enemies from afar, far less effective than the magic effect of refining one layer of qi. When Zheng Han attacked me earlier, he recognized the power of the Guishui amulet and the Gung Jin sword qi talisman as Gang Qi. Lu Heng pondered, is the 9th level of Gang Qi realm equivalent to the 3rd level of qi refining? If we calculate this, the 1st level of qi refining may be equivalent to the 7th level. After a moment, he shook his head again and said to himself, it doesn't make much sense for me to guess on my own like this, and it can also lead to misjudgment. It would be better to have a detailed understanding when encountering a martial arts master in the future. But one thing is certain, that is, the speed of becoming stronger in cultivating immortals far exceeds that of martial arts. A pill that enhances qualifications makes me comparable to the 4th level of martial arts, and as soon as I reached the 1st level of qi refining, it made me stronger than the 6th level of martial arts. This is a grand road, as long as I walk steadily step by step, I will eventually surpass everyone in this world and gradually develop in the future. Next, we will continue to cultivate according to the White Tiger Killing Secret Collection, accumulate magic power, improve our cultivation, and break through to the 2nd level of qi refining. We also need to cultivate the method of protecting the Tao and prepare well for battle. The White Tiger Killing Secret Collection also provides clear descriptions on how to enhance mana and break through the 2nd layer of qi refining. In addition to normal operation techniques that can enhance mana, as long as you implement the killing intent in your heart and kill the person you want to kill, you can refine this killing intent and greatly enhance your mana. If you want to break through to the 2nd level of qi refining, you need to slay a creature with a higher level of life than your current level after your mana reaches its peak. In short, we need to go further and kill the enemy once. What exactly is the secret to killing? It truly lives up to its name. The entire cultivation process is full of killing intent. Regarding this, Lu Heng did not have any psychological pressure. On the one hand, the magical power cultivated in the White Tiger Killing Secret Collection is indeed powerful, able to restrain all creatures in a state no higher than oneself. On the other hand, he had already gained a preliminary understanding of what the world was like, and understood that even if he didn't take the initiative to cause trouble, killing was inevitable. First, get started with killing swordsmanship, and then improve my martial arts skills. This should be the best way to enhance my current combat power. Based on the current situation, Lu Heng quickly decided on his next cultivation plan. Then he shifted his gaze to the game interface. It's time to see what the previous series of rewards were all for. Spirit Plant Technique. A low-level spell that can be cast during the qi refining period. It works on ordinary plants and low-level spiritual medicines, and has effects such as accelerating maturation speed, treating diseases, and improving seeds. Drunken God Wine. First level lower grade spirit wine. After drinking, it can increase the power of attack and attack techniques by 20%, and can be effective on the third level of Qi refining. For every 1 or 2 drinks, the duration of the effect increases by 15 minutes. Demon Gourd. A first-order inferior spiritual material. It can be used as the main material for refining gourd-like magical tools. Hulu Magic Tool Manual. A first-order intermediate-level magic tool manual that records the materials, tools, methods, steps, etc. required to refine gourd-like magic tools. Qiankun Gourd. A first-order medium-level magical tool. A 3-inch high red jade gourd can store 100,000 liters of liquid and can be transformed into a normal storage tool after special refining. Granary. A granary that stores 10,000 stones of wheat. Lingmai Seed. A first-order lower-grade spiritual plant that can grow lingmai. Inner Alchemy. First-level top-grade. The essence of demon cultivation and the wood attribute inner alchemy full of yin and evil energy. After dispelling evil energy, it can be used as an amplification spiritual object for alchemy or refining tools. It is one of the auxiliary materials required for building foundations in refining lower-grade foundation pills. Huamai Whip. A first-level medium-level magical tool. Suitable for refining Qi from the first level to the 6th level. It has the effect of accelerating the healing speed of one's own injuries. Infusing magic can allow wheat seedlings to grow in the area hit by the whip. The more magic is infused, the more wheat seedlings will grow. Internal Fire Pill Stove. First level top-grade magical tool. When refining pills or magical tools that do not exceed second level lower grade, it increases the top-grade rate by 10%. It can refine non-resistant creatures with a life level not exceeding the initial stage of foundation building into life essence. It seems like they are all auxiliary things. Lu Heng's gaze swept over these rewards one by one, and finally stopped at the wheat whip. If this magic tool is used for combat, its strength should also be good. First, let the enemy grow wheat seedlings on their body, and then use spiritual cultivation techniques to ripen them. However, based on the current situation in Heng County, the greatest use of this magical tool is not for killing enemies, but for producing grain. As long as it is present, there will be endless wheat to eat. For creatures who cannot dispel grain and eat qi, food is crucial. Even Lu Heng, who has just started cultivating immortality, still needs to eat. At this point, Lu Heng suddenly had an idea in his heart, thinking to himself. With the help of the wheat whip, I can completely fill the food shortage in Heng County. As long as I entrust the county magistrate, the culprit, to the Zhaoyang army, perhaps this crisis can be eliminated. In this way, not only can I keep my family safe, but I can also practice at home. I can obtain 3 months of Taoist practice in a day, greatly accelerating my progress in practicing various spells and swordsmanship, and quickly improving my combat power. There are still dungeons in the city that can be used for spawning. Even during the cooldown period, you can go to the surrounding wilderness to spawn monsters. TSK, this is a great cultivation and upgrading base. For him, there are too many benefits to living and practicing in the city of Heng County. And most of this only requires using wheat whips to produce some food, and sacrificing a county magistrate who is already not a good thing. It can be said to have the best of both worlds. Next, we will work hard in this direction, first catch the county magistrate, but at the same time, we must also improve our strength as soon as possible to avoid the Zhaoyang army's lack of oil and salt. Lu Heng quickly had a direction of action, but he understood that he knew nothing about the situation on the county magistrate's side. If he acted rashly, he might not be able to succeed. We need to find an opportunity to test Feng Qian or someone who knows him. But the problem is that as a poor commoner living at the bottom of Heng County, he doesn't even know who to inquire about and can't think of any methods to test the county magistrate for a moment. I'm not even sure where the county magistrate lives. Lu Heng frowned and said to himself, in a few days, the bodies of Sun Chang and others, as well as the situation on Zheng Han's side, will be discovered. The county magistrate should appear, and the city is expected to be in chaos for a period of time. We can look for an opportunity to test and take action at that time. Thinking of this, he suddenly felt a stir in his heart. It was Pei Jiqing who caused chaos in the city last night. Would she know anything? If only we could chat about it. He immediately shook his head again and said, I can only think about it. With her injuries from last night, she must have sneaked out of the city to treat her injuries today. I guess there won't be much chance. Let's go home and take a look first. In the next few days, I will hide near my home and study killing swordsmanship. It's 3 times the amount of martial arts. Hey, maybe I can add more skills. Lu Hengxian quietly went to a wealthy household to pick up his normal clothes and left a silver bill as his reward. Then he threw his stolen official uniform into the wine cellar, changed into normal clothes, left the Sun Chang family, and walked in the direction of his home amidst the crowd on the street. As he approached the door, Lu Heng's nose suddenly took a sniff and he couldn't help but feel shocked. This bloody smell seems to be from Pei Jiqing. Is she in my house? He immediately quickened his pace. Pei Jiqing is here, and those servants may be brought in. It's not a good thing. Lu Heng quickly arrived at a small alley next to his yard, intending to investigate the situation inside the house. Just as I arrived here, a person walked out of the dark corner of the alley ahead. This person appears to be in his 50s and 60s, with white beard and hair, a hunched body, and ragged clothes, as if he were a homeless beggar. I didn't expect that little brat's accomplice to be you, such a little thing. I waited for nothing all night. He glanced at Lu Heng slightly, his wrinkled face showing a hint of sneer, and sneered, little beast, you dare to wade in any muddy water. You're not unjustly dead. Before he could finish speaking, the beggar raised his right hand, bent his finger, and with a flick of his finger, a stone burst out of the air, like an arrow departing from a string, shooting towards Lu Heng. Faced with such enemies who attack without hesitation, Lu Heng naturally wouldn't hesitate. A killing thought suddenly arose in my heart. Immediately took out the Black Tiger soul-mastering blade, infused mana, and shook the opponent's spirit. At the same time, opening your mouth and spitting out, white light suddenly appeared. End of this chapter.